Okay, so are we good here, Ron? Okay, I've been told that I am back on stream. For everyone who is not in Discord, I apologize. We had some technical difficulties. Ron got it figured out, and we should be back. But if you weren't on Discord, I was spending the time, giving a little sneak preview of some cool Land 2.0 stuff uh, in the Discord chat. So if you missed that, I'm sure everyone will be talking about it in the general Tavern and Mavs chat for a while to come, so you can catch up on it there. I'm going to jump back into the questions. The first question was about decentralization and specifically the battle mechanics and processing and how that's going to work. So I was saying that I don't intend for those to be part of the SPS validators and SPS chain because it's much too much processing power that's required for that. And we want to keep the SPS validator processing requirements as low as possible to encourage as many people to run nodes and keep that network as decentralized as possible. So my thinking and my future vision for that is that we make it so that anyone is able to run a battle server, just like Splinterlands currently runs battle servers. And there would be a portion of SPS rewards that would be allocated to the server that runs every single battle. So if you run a battle server and battles take place on your server, um, or you process the results of the battles on your server, you would earn some SPS either from a new reward pool or a portion of the reward pool that goes to players. Again, this is like a bit far out in the future, so we'll get to the like where the rewards will come from. The DAO could possibly like put up SPS rewards for this. Um, but then, obviously, if people are running their own battle servers, we have to keep them honest, right? We don't want people to just like update the code to have them win every battle or process battles inappropriately. So I was planning on. I looked at some other systems that kind of do things like this in the blockchain crypto space. So what we can do is if you want to run a battle server, we can require people to bond SPS tokens, basically like put SPS tokens, sort of stake them into their battle server. And the more SPS tokens you have staked to your battle server, the more battles you would be able to host. And so the more SPS you would be able to earn. And then we could allow, since the battle results will all be published to the chain, and all the transactions when the players submit their teams and everything will be signed by that player's private keys. Everything should be verifiable, right? So we leave it open to anyone in the community. There will be an incentive to challenge the results published by a battle server. So people can write scripts that check battles from battle servers on a regular basis. And if they ever find a situation where a battle server is reporting incorrect results for the battle, they can issue a challenge, and the battle server will have to prove by providing the signatures from each player account that participated in the battle, um, that the battle was processed correctly. And if it was not, then that battle server would the account running that battle server would lose some of their bonded SPS, and it would go to the person who submitted the challenge. So I think again, this is a bit out in the future. This is futuristic vision here. But that's how I envision the battle servers being run in a decentralized way. And I really I wish that wasn't so far out and that we could do that sooner rather than later, because I think it's super cool. But that's my like high level vision for how decentralized battle servers could operate. Um, as far as decentralizing land, I mean that's the type of thing we're going to have to see if that's something that can be part of SPS validators or if it's too computationally intensive. And then we could do a similar thing for that, where there could be separate set of validators that process land eventually that are open source that anyone can run. And then we would sort of have like a bridge. So like sort of how there's like the in-game assets and there's SPS chain assets. I mean, land already is kind of its own separate thing where you have to like bring your grain and things into Pretoria. So it kind of makes sense that would work if you have these separate land validator servers. Then if you want to take assets out of land, you just have to kind of bridge them out, just like you do with the voucher tokens, sort of right now. So that's kind of the thoughts for land. I really, really do want to get those SPS validators up and running. Right now, I mean, the project is still going, but we're working on it for a Genesis League Goals game, since that game was kind of built from the ground up to work with the validators and get all the kinks out. But it's going to be the same basic code base that's going to be used for SPS validators. So by using it for goals first, it's an easier way to get it live in production and tested before bringing it over to Splinterlands. But I do plan for that to be like a very key part of the roadmap for next year for the game. So again, thank you for that question. I think that was a great one. Um, the next question I'm a little confused about. It's about listing the grain token for land on Binance instead of SPS. Um, I don't know if they mean like the Binance centralized exchange or Binance Smart Chain. If it's the centralized exchange, well, we can't list anything on Binance unless they allow us to, and that would be something that the DAO, at least for the SPS token, would need to work on, with Clayboin, who's now been brought on as the DAO kind of project manager. If it's for the if we're talking about the like pancake swap pool, the plan was to just have in-game markets for all the land tokens. I mean, like I said, there's going to be 50 plus different land resource tokens, so we don't plan to make bridges for those to all the different platforms. So the idea is there will be the in-game marketplaces um, to trade all those tokens for DEC, and then the DEC itself could be bridged to Binance Smart Chain or Ethereum or Hive Engine or wherever it is. And I think it'll actually be really helpful to keep all of the land tokens within the land game on those internal markets, because that's a key part of the whole economy is going to be those internal markets and people providing liquidity, and we want as much volume going through those markets and not external markets as possible. So that's kind of the plan for that. So grain and all the other tokens will be tradable only on the internal land market for DEC, and then that DEC can be bridged elsewhere and sold or traded there. The next questions are about rebellion packs. If a proposal is submitted and voted that stated no rebellion packs would be given away in Chess and Wild League, would you guys implement it? And can you guys implement it? Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the community votes for that, we would 100% implement it. I was thinking a lot about this one and also talking to Clayboin about it since the last Town Square call last week. And I initially had said like we were just going to go with the same system we had used in the past um, for putting packs in loot chests. But I feel like this is the first time that the set has been kind of owned and operated by the DAO. So I really feel like we should have DAO approval for what we do. So I was either myself or Clayboin or someone else. I think will submit a proposal, or maybe multiple proposals potentially for how rebellion packs could be distributed in loot chests, or possibly not distributed in loot chests at all, or maybe just in modern, or what, maybe a few different options. Um, and it's really up to the token holders to decide. Like we're as much as possible, like decisions about rebellion packs are no longer up to the company. So we are going to go with what the community tells us that they would like for those packs, and just keep in mind also like that can change. It's not set in stone for the rest of the rebellion set. It's whatever the new proposal could come out to change that in any way at any time. And if the community votes for it, then we will work with Clayboin to get it implemented. And the same question for DEC leaderboard board rewards, same answer. If the community wants it, we'd be happy to implement those things. So feel free to talk with Clay or submit your own proposals. And yeah, I'd love to see more of that happening. The last of the pre-recorded questions is about drop rates. Can you make bigger drop rate on high mana matches, and can you change the drop rate on silent summoners and monster lose all abilities? I guess by drop rate they mean the amount of time that those show up. I mean, they should be equally weighted. All the different mana costs and all the rule sets. So there shouldn't be any that come up more or less than any others. But I guess that's something we could look into. But again, that's one of those things where if the community wants to change something like that, absolutely submit a proposal, and if the community would like, we would happily oblige. So that's the end of the pre-recorded questions. Let's open it up to community questions in the Town Hall Discord channel. Again, I just want to remind everyone, I only have about 35 more minutes left. Unfortunately, we had that little break there with the technical issues. I'm going to try to get to as many community questions as I can in that time. I don't know if Ron, you or Azaria or someone wants to like officially start the questions. Okay. Well, I'll start. Some people, put questions in once I said that. So I'll start with those. So Lewis88 has a question. Maybe provide some details. What's currently possible with an easy development or already implemented so the community can go creative with things for the proposals? Yeah, I mean, I would leave it open to the community to propose anything that they want, even if it might be difficult. And I don't want to kind of limit the ideas based on difficulty. We may not be able to do them, but we should still, have those out there. But as far as what's easy, I mean, just like percentages, there's just configuration parameters for the percent chances of getting packs in chess for modern, chess for wild, and at each chess tier for each league. So anything that's just change the percentage to 0 or change it to 2%, or whatever it is, those should be just super quick config changes that we can make. And anything more involved, would take some more work, and we can comment on that if we get specific details. Um, Essence of Anarchony says, did you ever track down the full stat levels for the Rebellion promo cards? Oh crap! No, I forgot about that. I feel like, I don't know, Nate. Do you have that somewhere? I feel like someone's got to have that somewhere.
I mean, I guess we just got to confirm whether the stats that are on the test server can be relied upon, and then we'll just screenshot that. Yeah.
Oh, they definitely should be. Yeah, can one of you go grab the stats for the 2 promo cards off the QA server and just screenshot them and post them in here, because I was supposed to do that last week and I forgot. I'm very sorry. And have you hired Aftersound to make a Rebellion song, or do we need to get a DAO proposal going? I don't know, Nate. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a Rebellion song that is produced by the talented Asaria. We're hoping that that song makes a release in the trailer. If we can get the Rebellion trailer done in time for the general release, then everyone will hear that. But Aftersound's amazing. I mean, he's basically, the official, unofficial bard of the entire Splinterlands. So I'm sure we'll if it's for Rebellion or for the mini set or for something else, I'm sure we're going to continue to keep asking Aftersound for more music.
All right. Yeah, that sounds great. The next question. Sorry, I got messed up on Discord here. Okay, from Paul TRX. Under manage Rooney, I will need to make sure the Rooney I want to use for land are not delegated to another account and says unassigned below it, correct? Then all of my unassigned Rooney will be able to add it to a land plot. I don't know. Farpatrod, do you know how that works? If you have to unmute in the call.
Sorry. So yeah, you'll have to have it delegated to the account that owns the land plot in order for you to stake it.
Okay, yeah. So you need to have it like staked on Ethereum, so it's it's delegated in game to your account, and then you can sort of assign it to your land plot. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, great. So Fat Jimmy is asking, Matt, how are you currently feeling about comfort level regarding company finances and runway? I'm actually feeling pretty good. The Rebellion presale went even a little better so far than I was initially, planning, or like my base case plan. And, we haven't got right down to the wire. I'm sure a bunch of more pack sales are going to come in as people fight for leaderboard spots. So I feel like we're a little ahead of the game there. I think we actually reduced our expenses even more than I was initially planning so far. So we're like coming in better there. And we're like slowly divesting out of our cryptocurrency holdings. I mean, that obviously really hurt us, holding a bunch of our funds in crypto throughout late 2021 and 2022. But at this point, we're kind of being smart about not selling it all at the bottom. So the increase in crypto prices has also been really helping us. So just like overall, further reduced expenses. We got new revenue sources coming in that are going a little bit better than expected, and our holdings are gaining value. So I'm actually like really like way less concerned than I was even like a month ago. Still working on seeing if we can raise capital that would all be a great thing to have if we can do it. But I'm like less thinking that that's like it's going to be the end of the world if that doesn't happen, and more like we'll be just fine. Um, so yeah, that's a good question, and that's the situation right now. Um, Nerd Cthulhu is asking a long time ago. Aggie was very nervous about having land resource market hosted in game due to potential liability issues slash regulatory scrutiny. Is this no longer a concern? I mean, that stuff is always a concern, and it's just a concern with literally everything we do. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that that's just all part of the risks of doing business in this space. I mean, honestly, everything we do falls into possible regulatory scrutiny or issues. And it's not really any more or less than having the in-game land resource market, in my opinion, and also like from our legal opinion too. So my plan is to continue to move ahead with building what I think is going to be the best product for our players. And we deal with whatever legal and regulatory issues come up if and when they do. And obviously, the ultimate vision, like we just talked about, is to decentralize all these things. So regardless of any regulatory scrutiny or anything that happens, it will keep running anyway. And so that's kind of the plan, and it's just there's no other way you can really operate in this space if you're trying to do everything where there's literally no possibility for any regulatory scrutiny or issues. Like, you wouldn't be able to build anything almost in the Web3 space. So we're going forward and building you know what we think is the best product, and obviously the land resource market is just such a huge important part of that whole game. Like, that not having it would just make land like not nearly as good. And ultimately, our defense is that we're building a game product, right? These are not it's we're not like just a DeFi product. We're not just an exchange. We have some of these things, but they're ultimately part of a game. And the majority of people here are not here just to trade tokens and try to get around taxes or like sanctions or things like that. It's people playing games, and that's again from our legal advice is like generally that's a thing that regulators look at. Like, is your thing is it Uniswap, where it is specifically just for doing token exchanges, uh, or do you have some of these things as part of something else that isn't nefarious or causing problems? So you know um, we're gonna do the best we can to avoid any issues while not like watering down or building a worse product as we do it. Um, Let me see where the next question is. Flowey has a question. How does the grain LP work exactly? In the white paper, it was mentioned that it will provide the only source of earning DEC besides season rewards. Can you elaborate on how that works? Yeah, it's really simple. I mean, there'll be an AMM pool, just like a Uniswap pool or a Pancake Swap pool or a Diesel pool on Hive Engine. So players can, put equal dollar amounts of grain and DEC into the pool to provide liquidity, and then every time anyone can put DEC into the pool and take grain out, or put grain into the pool and take DEC out with the same the normal X times Y equals K formula for the AMM pools. But each trade will have a fee, right? So if I want to buy let's say 100 grain and I need to put in 100 DEC, um, I'll put in my 100 DEC, but there's going to be, I don't remember what the fee is. Let's just say it's a 5% fee. So if I put in 100 DEC, I'll only receive 95 grain back. So there's, the 100 DEC, 95 of it goes into the pool to get me grain. The other five gets distributed among the liquidity providers based on the amount of liquidity they've put in. So by putting in liquidity into the pool, you'll be earning DEC slowly over time. And the more liquidity you add compared to the total, the more you'll get. And the more volume there is, the more people trading grain and DEC back and forth, the more you'll earn also, which is another reason I want to keep all the volume in the internal market and not have it go to Hive Engine and Pancake Swap and all these other places. And in phase 2.0, there's going to be markets for all of the 50 plus resources. And not only will you earn DEC from all the trading, so you'll have to like decide like, hey, maybe there's not a lot of liquidity for Sparkstone or something, so you might want to go into that, and you'll need to build storage buildings for your Sparkstone in order to provide the liquidity. And then there's also going to be a special resource that's very key to the whole ecosystem that you will only earn by providing liquidity. So when you provide liquidity, you'll earn DEC from the fees, and you'll also earn this other resource in phase two. So like that's what I meant, that the markets, the internal markets, are going to be just like a huge part of this whole thing and part of what makes the game, interesting and fun. So hopefully that kind of answered that question. Question from Mega Marcus: when the game becomes decentralized and the company is a contractor of the DAO, what will happen with the IP? Will the DAO have to pay a license fee? That's a good question. I don't know. We have not gotten there yet. My goal is to have the DAO hopefully own as much as possible. And again, to be able, I would like to get it into a situation where if for whatever reason our company got shut down or isn't able to operate, I don't foresee that happening. But in the event that it does, I would like this whole entire ecosystem and game to just be able to still operate, just like Bitcoin would still operate, no matter what happens to any individual or entity. Like that's the ultimate goal for Splinterlands as well. So I don't know exactly how that will all work legally, but we're going to figure it out. Question from Powis. I know you don't have stats for the latest Riftwatcher cards, but can you tell us if it's melee, magic, or ranged? I don't actually know. So Call Me Tim is the one who's been leading the stats for Rebellion and the airdrop cards. I have been, since I've taken over as CEO, just been totally swamped with like running company stuff, and then while also still trying to get, stay on top of land and high level on Rebellion and the land phase two white paper. So I have not been doing stats, so I don't actually know what the proposed stats are for the card at all. But we'll get those out to you as soon as we can. Question from Paul TRX: any thoughts on starter cards disappearing from an account after X amount of time? Yeah, this is something that's come up a bunch of times. I'm not opposed to it. We just have to, like, it's a bit of a project that we need to think through and implement. We need to make sure, um, I don't want it to be a situation where someone comes back after a while and then goes to play a match and just has like an empty screen, right? So we need to figure out, how that's all going to work, how we're going to message that, how it's going to be handled. And I would probably plan for that to be a part of the whole new player experience upgrades that we're looking to do for it, as part of our roadmap for next year. So I mentioned a bunch of times, like, I know we need to focus on the new player experience. I know that is lacking. I plan to get that on the roadmap and have our team like be able to really sit down and focus on it for a significant period of time. And I think that's a good opportunity to redo how the starter cards work in some way. Let's see. I'm scrolling. Uh, Thank you, Royal Eagle, for posting the stats for the promo cards. It looks like in here. Um, okay. Question from Super Money: would the soulbound cards for land be released sooner or grouped together with all the other tweaks like land surfing and be released all together? No, we're going to release each individual update as soon as it's ready. So they're not going to be grouped together. There's no reason that they need to be together. So as soon as the grain DEC market is ready, we plan to release that. As soon as the use of soulbound cards is ready, we're going to release that, etc. So hopefully you guys will have a lot of, updates on a regular basis. Keep things interesting. Um, Let's see here. There's a lot of good conversation happening, trying to find the questions scattered in there. Just, excuse me, a reminder for anyone to just put like question, preferably in bold and caps before your question. So it's just easier for me to pick out in all the chat. Quantum Nachos is asking, if we're going to have a different building for each material type, will we still have specific types of lands, have set materials to craft from, or will it be a free for all in every plot? If it's still set by land type, what kinds of buildings can be built on all lands? Um, yeah, that's a good question. So for for natural and magical resources, for any of the resources that come from the land itself, only certain land types or lands that have those resources will be able to produce those resources. So you won't be able to build like a quarry on in a forest. You need to be able to build like a logging camp there, or whatever. I don't remember the names of all the buildings, but so that's going to be limited. But then resource refinement buildings, for the most part, will be able to be built on any plot. So if you have a building that, like a sawmill to turn, wood into wooden planks for construction, that should be able to be built on any land plot for the most part. So the idea is that like players are going to have a lot of choice. Like you're not just going to be locked into, oh, I have mostly forest, so I have to do X, Y, and Z. Um, you'll definitely have an advantage by focusing on wood if you have a forest. But you'll also have the ability to build all sorts of different things, for refining resources. Or you could say, screw that. I don't even want to make resources or refine resources. I just want to build a bunch of storage facilities for certain resources, so I can provide liquidity for them. Or, there's going to be a whole bunch of different things you can do. And so a lot of those things will be able to happen on any different land plot. If they're things that are specific to a certain like element specific resource, if it's sparkstone storage, which is the fire magical element, um, there'll probably be advantages for building that, or you'll want to use fire element worker cards on that plot. So you'll want to build it on a plot where fire element worker cards probably get a bonus rather than a penalty. But in general, the goal that I've been going for is that you'll have a lot of options for any type of plot. All right, next question. After sound, Matt, what excites you the most as Land 2.0 as a player? Uh, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I sort of said this a little earlier when we were having technical difficulties. I guess I'm excited about the whole thing. It's hard to pick one particular thing, but like once I put it into that flow chart format versus just like paragraph format, it just got me real excited. Like just the ability to visualize the entire thing and see how like intricate and involved the whole economy is. So that like really, like once I was able to visualize it in my mind, it just got me very excited for the whole thing. So I guess what excites me about it is like how many different options there are, how many different things you can do, because that's what the game is all about, right? It's not just, oh, I have a forest, I build a sawmill and call it a day and click harvest once a week, right? You actually have to play, you have to make decisions, you have to follow the markets and the different resources and what's happening and the available options, and decide, do I want to upgrade my buildings or contribute more to the Secret of Praetoria project. So just like the more options that everybody has, in my opinion, the more fun the whole experience is going to be. I really don't want it to be just like you know, just a set, like here's my land, here's its type, here's what I do, and I click a button and that's that. It's like I'm sure some people will do that, and that's fine. But if you really want to like optimize it, you gotta play the game. And that is a type of game. It's a resource management, and sort of like empire building game. So that's what excites me the most. If I had to pick like a feature that excites me the most, it's the whole Secret of Praetoria thing. I mentioned like a million times that I'm going to be focusing very heavily on research. Um, I just think that whole thing is going to be super cool. So that's like the feature I'm most excited about, is the whole thing. Um, Question from Axler Twinblade: if we build a castle on a swamp, will it fall over and sink the first 3 times? Uh, Maybe your castle. I don't know. It depends if Nate and the creative team can make some little animations of a castle sliding into the swamp there. Maybe we'll put that in and we'll code it specifically, like if X or Twin Blade. Everyone else will only fall over and sink like the first 1 or 2 times.
No,
But
I like this idea. And when it sinks and never comes back, you're compensated with 1 bag of salt.
right, 1 bag of salt. Yeah, I don't know. Are you still going with the design where the on the lake tiles that the buildings are actually under at the bottom of the lake?
That's what was intended, but Farpatron, where did we end up with that? I haven't.
I have not looked at that in a long while. I know Mancio had worked on that, but I don't know what happened to it. So
All right,
we'll
so
have to
the
check
the
that
buildings may
works.
or may not be in the bottom of the lake, rather than sort of somehow floating on top of it. So it's sort of like a castle falling into the swamp. Question from Flowey: will we get some further teasers for the secret gating mechanisms with land release? This could further incentivize people to not ignore research, as right now a strong sentiment is toward SPS and grain farming. This could diversify the early 1.5 land economy more. I mean, yeah, I'm planning to release the first draft of the white paper for Land 2.0, which is going to have a lot more details on the Secret of Praetoria project. And with the goal of hopefully, giving people more information. I mean, it might not be next Tuesday. It's probably definitely not going to be next Tuesday. But by the end of the month, my hope is to release that, and so people can see kind of what the advantages are there. But a lot of that I've been talking about, it sort of goes on your faith, and if you want to sort of contribute to something for the future rather than just getting some SPS or something right now. Now obviously grain is you kind of need for everything, so that's going to be a staple regardless. But I feel like I've managed to accumulate a lot of SPS myself, and that the best use of my land resources will be towards research, and I can get SPS other ways. So yeah, we'll be releasing more information with the release of the white paper draft, and then I'll be happy to talk about it more, um, to get people to do research. But of course, if not as many people do research, then it gives more to the people who do the research, right? So the people who do research, if less other people do, then they'll get a bigger share of the rewards later on. So it's something to consider. Question from Bebe Omega. Will I get my initial draft signed copy once it's ready? Yeah, that's been asked before. It would be cool to see if there's a way to print out the Git book somehow, maybe on some like cool old style paper, and do something with that. So if the creative team maybe is bored sometime and wants to try something fun, maybe we could take the white paper and try to make a physical printed version of it that looks cool. But I'm not
No,
promising
no.
anything.
We'll import papyrus for you for sure.
Perfect. Yes,
We'll
import the
hire
papyrus.
a monastery full of monks to scribe it out by hand.
Perfect, perfect. After rebellion and land is out. Mega Marcus has a question. Since a lot of new abilities brought more RNG aspects to battles, do you consider lowering the 10% missing chance per speed difference to 5%, for example? Over time, I got the feeling it's too much RNG, which decreased the fun I have by playing. Yeah, it's a good question, and there's always the debate of like, is more RNG good? Is less RNG good? I'm not sure. I've thought that Splinterlands, it's a game of large numbers, right? So it doesn't usually come down to one battle, or possibly sometimes in tournaments. But generally it's about like winning a higher percentage of battles over time. So players who understand the RNG and make the right choices over long periods of time, will end up doing better than other players. So I do think it's good to have a certain amount of RNG in the game. It also makes for cool scenarios or like crazy outcomes sometimes, which is good for the game. So there's a balance there. It's hard for me to say if 10% is too much and 5% would be good. I've in my playing generally found it to be a good amount, and we've had like tons of ideas that would add in significantly more RNG that we've scrapped specifically for that reason. But like my current feeling is that it's a decent amount. But again, like if the community generally feels otherwise, then we'll look into changing it. Question from VC Dragon: what's going to happen to the 5% for Thunder and other plot that only have 5% bonuses? Oh, Tundra, I guess that means. I mean, currently the plan is for nothing to happen. Those plots, they get the bonuses for more types of cards, if I remember correctly, even though they're smaller bonuses. So, we're going to see ultimately. Right now, there's no plan to change those, but obviously, and this goes for everything in land. Like when we put it out, we're going to see how it goes. I'm sure we're going to have gotten a lot of things wrong, or a lot of things are not optimal, and we'll listen to community feedback and we'll fix them. And there, if anything comes up, and that may be one of them. Let's see. We should probably, Ron or Azaria, if anyone's listening, probably cut the questions off at this point because I got a little over 10 more minutes. I don't know how many questions there are. But if you want to, post an end to the questions, I'll get to the ones that are left. Question: any plans for those unclaimed or unused plots? Yeah, that's where the whole land surfing thing is going to come in. So, my the goal is that once land surfing is released, it will also people will also be able to surf on unclaimed and unused plots. So they like that all the plots will be able to be used. But yeah, I don't know the timing on that. That's kind of lower down in the priority list. But that's the plan for those. Question from Paul TRX: is the fifth new ability on track for the release? As far as I am aware, it is, and it's a cool one. So I hope that we can announce that one soon. Uh, Question from Rivals: how's it going with Soul Keep? Are we on track? Someone is taken care of. Yes, I am working on. We have a plan for Soul Keep that I am working on, and I hope that we can get done. And I hope to be able to announce that, within the next month or so. I do really want to get Soul Keep launched, obviously. But I also want to do it in such a way where we don't have to put a ton of resources towards it, that because those resources just come away from Splinterlands. So I'm working on it. Uh, it's it's taking a little while before I can announce it for sure. Question from Mega Marcus: 5 years ago, there were gift cards. Will we get something like that in the future again? Someone is looking for a Christmas present. Yeah, this question comes up every now and then. It's just there was a bunch of problems with gift cards. There were some exploits, and like very few people used it. So it was one of those things where it's just not worth it for us to spend the time on that, considering how little use it got. So, um, what I've offered for people who want to get a gift card to we can generate promo codes like we give out for the spell books at like events on like physical cards and stuff. So if someone like really wants to get that for someone else, they can contact me or someone else on the team, and we can kind of just make that happen on a case by case basis. Um, okay, well, I didn't realize there are actually not very many more questions left. So After Sound had a question right after Ron posted the message. Is there a good way to find out the true circulating supply of vouchers? That's a good question. I don't know. I can probably see internally the circulating supply. Let's see if I can actually pull that up right now. According to my records, the current circulating supply of vouchers is a little over 10 million. That doesn't include any unclaimed vouchers. That only includes vouchers that are actually claimed and held in people's accounts. There's about 10 million. That is one thing I'll mention though. It's one of the last like to dos for the land phase 2 white paper is I definitely want to have vouchers kind of feature heavily in land phase 2 again for they aren't going to be needed, but they'll be able to give like significant discounts or added bonuses or benefits in some way, which is along the lines of what vouchers are intended for. So I want to my hope is that vouchers become a rare and highly sought after thing in the not too distant future, rather than like this overly abundant thing that everyone has a ton of. So just a little side commentary on that. All right, so I have been talking pretty much all day on different calls and things, and I even have some more after this tonight. So if the community doesn't mind, I'm gonna call it here a little early. But obviously, the big news and all thanks really goes to Farpatrod and also Nate and the creative team and Investigator. They kind of went through a lot of crap to get to this point where Land Phase 1.5 is planned, and fingers crossed will not have any major issues and go out next Tuesday. So this is a huge milestone for the company. You guys have done an awesome job. Um, and yeah, so everyone get their DEC and get their worker cards ready because it is coming soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, day, morning, whatever time it is where you are, and we will talk to you next week.
When chaos reigns and hope is lost, when your darkest days aren't saved by the dawn, we bring the light to help guide the way. We are with you.